Hello and welcome to this lesson about graphing with intercepts. The learning target for this video is finding the x and y intercepts of a linear function. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the big idea behind graphing. One thing I want to get across is the idea that a graph is a picture of the solutions to a function. It is something you can point at and be like, there is the solution, or here are all the possible solutions you have for a function. So that's one thing I want to get across. Two is that when we're talking about linear functions, that's not how you spell linear, linear functions, we're talking about a straight line. So linear functions are straight lines, as like linear would imply, straight lines. And we want to make it as easy as possible to graph these. And so what I'm going to show you is a technique that can really quickly help you find 2 points to then plot on a coordinate plane, and then you connect them and you have made the graph for a linear function. And those 2 points that we're going to use are the x and y intercepts. So let's define that. Oops, I wanted to go with a different color there. X and y intercepts. These are the points where a line crosses the x and y axis, or axes I should say. And so there's a reason why these are super duper easy to find, and that's why we're using them, is because again they are easy to find. So let's talk about this from looking at a couple of examples. So let's say we had a graph that looked like this. So we just plot a couple points here, and boom, boom, boom. All right, we connect it. So this right here is supposed to be my x-intercept. Let me clean that up. There we go, that's much better. So that's my x-intercept because it is where the line crosses through the x-axis. So we call that the x-intercept. Now if we take a look at the point, it is 3, 0. All right, this is going to come into play a little bit here. Over here is my y-intercept, because that's where it's crossing the y-axis. So y-intercept, y-axis, and the point is 0, 4. So by looking at the graph, you simply have to train your eye to look on the axis to where the graph is crossing it, and then that point is the intercept. And depending on what book you're using, or where you're answering the question, or how it's phrased, sometimes the answer has to be a point. So the x-intercept is 3, 0, or the y-intercept is 0, 4. Other times you might get away with being like, it's 3, it's 4. So it really varies from publisher to publisher, or maybe the way it's phrased, but just know it can go either way there. All right, let's look at another example. Actually, let's look at several examples. So I drew 2 more graphs, and again, we just want to work on identifying the x and y intercepts. So the one here on the left, here's our x-intercept, and that is at 1, 0. And then our y-intercept is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, oops, 0, -5, and that's the y-intercept. And then for the one here on the right, let's take a look at this one. The y-intercept is at 0, 3, so y-intercept. And then the x-intercept is happening right there at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -7, 0. And so just make sure you're watching out for those negatives and you include them in the point. All right, now what we're going to do is take a quick look at all of these. And let's focus just right now on the x-intercepts. So let's look at these. 1, 0, negative 7, 0. And here we have for the x-intercept 3, 0. Are you noticing a trend? Think about it for a second. There is one, and there's a similar trend for the y-intercept. And that is for the x-intercept, y equals 0. And for the y-intercept, x equals 0. Okay? That is huge for helping us use this. So right now what we've just done is identify the x and y intercepts by looking at a graph. But when we keep this information, which I highly suggest you write down, this is very useful for actually finding it from an equation, which is what we're going to do right now. So let's consider this equation right here, and we'll keep things simple. So let's start off with 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Now, first of all, this equation is prime for using the intercept method, for trying to find the intercepts. And the reason why is that it's it's in what we call standard form. And so the reason why, so first of all, standard form is when you have an equation with x and y, and it's written in the form ax plus by is equal to c, and a is greater than or equal to 0. And that's exactly what we have here. Now, the reason why this matters is there are many ways an equation can be given to you. In many ways it can be written. And what we want to do is try to make our lives as easy as possible. There's a way to graph right here. We don't have to solve for y or do anything else. We can just simply graph using the intercept method. Now, doing that, we have to go back to here, which is that the x-intercept y was 0, the y-intercept, the x-intercept y was 0, the y-intercept x equals 0. So if we are going to graph or find the intercepts from an equation, what we're going to do is make a very quick xy table. So make a table, and all we need are 2 points. And this is why I keep saying that we're trying to make it easy, and it's relatively easy to find the x and y intercepts. Because in order to find the x and y intercepts, what we have to do is for the x1, we let y equal 0, and for the y1, we let x equal 0. And so again, a little confusing, but this is the x-intercept, and then this one down here is the y-intercept. So you've got to keep that in mind. And here's the beautiful part. Let's let y equal 0. When we let y equal 0, that pretty much disappears. And we're looking at 2x equals 6. Well, x has to be 3. So we put 3 in there. When we let x equal 0, you put 2 times 0 is nothing. So that pretty much disappears. And that's why it's easy. You've eliminated one of the variables. You don't have to do any adding, any subtracting. You just divide by the coefficient. And so here we get y equals 2. And now we have found the intercepts. Okay, now unfortunately you're not always going to be given something in standard form, and yet you might be asked to find the x and y intercepts. So let's do a quick example of finding some intercepts in something that's not necessarily in standard form. So let's say we have y equals 3x plus 9. All right, so what we need to do is make sure it's written in the form ax plus by equals c, where the coefficient on x is greater than 0. So what that means is I'm going to move the y this way, and I'm going to move the 9 that way. So I'll subtract 9, and I'll subtract y from both sides. And so I end up getting 3x minus y is equal to negative 9. Now it's in standard form. To find the intercepts, again, I make a little xy table, 0, 0. You let y equal 0, x has to be negative 3. Oops. So that was minus y. We let x equal 0, that disappears, and y has to be 1. Oops. And there it is. And so we found the intercepts. And finally, that brings us to everything all together, which is graphing. So what we'll then do is so first of all, we find the intercepts, and then we just plot them, and that's it. So let's say we have another equation. Let's say we have 2x minus 4y is equal to negative 16. So in order to graph using this method, we make an xy table. 0, 0. And then, so when we let y equal 0, that disappears. X has to be negative 8. Let me clean this up. That was minus 4y. All right. You let x equal 0, that pretty much disappears, and y has to be 4. So we'll put 4 there. Well, we now have 2 points, and that's fantastic. That's what this gives us, is 2 points. We have the point 8, comma 0, or wait, negative 8, comma 0, sorry, and 0, 4. Oops. Make an xy plane, or one will be given to you, and now we just have to graph it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plot a point there. 1, 2, 3, 4, plot a point there. Connect them, go through them, done. How easy is that? So again, the big sort of, or let's just wrap everything up, I guess. First thing I want to stress is when graphing, make life easy. When graphing. And so when we want to use the intercept method, we're going to make it easy by simply plugging in 0 for both variables. So we have to do to graph intercepts, graph with intercepts, is make this xy table. X, Y, 0, 0. Now, make sure that you don't put them in the same spot. Okay? If you put them in the same spot, then you're not going to do yourself any good. They have to be on 2 separate lines. After that, it's all about plotting those points. And you're done. So that's graphing with the intercept method. Good luck with your homework and practice, and let me know if you have any questions.